Hi.
No.
How are you, Kylie?
I'm so good. How are you? It's nice to put a name to the face. I always see you
Yes.
guys in
Yeah.
my little videos. It's nice to finally meet you.
That's awesome. I'm just gonna turn on the volume on the phone.
Okay, yeah, Tony's just gonna turn up our volume. It's a bit quiet on our end.
Oh, okay.
So-
Can you guys hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we'll. Oh yeah, that's better now. So awesome. How are you?
I am so good. I live in Massachusetts. It's a little rainy today, but what are you gonna do? How are you guys?
Yeah. What are you gonna do? I think we're supposed to be getting some rain a little bit later, but for now it's nice. So I'll
Where
take
do
it.
you guys live? Where are you guys out of?
So we're in central Alberta. So I guess our claim to fame is the Edmonton Oilers. So we're just outside of Edmonton in central Alberta, Canada, and yeah, that's where Happy HQ is.
Oh, that's cool.
Kylie, I don't know if you can hear
This
it.
is my first
Oh,
Instagram
there we
live.
go.
I don't really know what I'm doing.
That's
That's
okay.
I'm trying to figure it out. But so, thank you guys for agreeing to do this with me. This is such a treat. As a health person and someone who's interested in like wellness and trying to find products that help your body, I'm also an aspiring scientific journalist. So this is kind of something that when I saw your guys' company, I just wanted to jump right on it. I was like, this is perfect. I want to know all about them. I want to know how they make their products, what they do, who they're for, what your targets are. So I guess I want to start by just asking you guys, what inspired you to start this? I mean, I know that there are other companies that are kind of similar to this, but what helped you guys start?
Yeah, so I guess I can take that one. I've always had a strong passion for mushrooms, and to be honest, I can't really explain why that's the case. I love them. I just think they're so cool. I think the fifth kingdom, or the kingdom of fungi, is so mysterious and leaves so much to be discovered. And obviously the medicinal benefits are there, but I really just got interested in mushrooms because I like them, you know, as I like going hiking in the woods and finding them. But then I got into growing mushrooms, and that was what really kicked the passion into high gear. So I started growing mushrooms on a small scale at home, and I just kind of went nuts with it. And before I knew it, I just thought, you know, this is what I want to do. I want to get involved in mushrooms. And as we were growing more and more mushrooms, originally we wanted to be kind of just a gourmet fresh mushroom farm, and that was the intent with FreshCap. But Tegan has a background in product development and nutrition and food science, so we kind of put those two passions together and decided to be primarily a mushroom supplement brand. So, you know, it was interest in mushrooms that was born out of just, you know, a random passion for mushrooms, Tegan's passion for food and health, and putting those two things together.
That's awesome. So like, I'm interested. So when you were saying that, you know, you like going hiking in the woods and you are drawn to mushrooms that you see, how did you get interested in that? Like if you're going on a hike and you're like, oh, that's a cool mushroom, I want to know how I can turn that into an extract. Like what kind of like led you to think to go investigate a mushroom? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's honestly so weird. I can't even really explain it. It's just always drawn me to the forest. So like I do love hiking, I love nature. And anytime I was out in the woods or out in nature, I found myself just with my head on the ground looking for mushrooms, and every single one I found, I'd want to pick at it and look at it and take a picture of it and talk about it. And I thought I was kind of a bit of a weirdo in that regard, but it turns out there's a lot of people who are really interested in mushrooms and mycology in general. And yeah, for whatever reason, I just think they're so fascinating, and I'm still fascinated by mushrooms to this day. I think every week there's a new article being published on this or that with mushrooms, whether it's, you know, a new medicinal property that's found, or new antibiotic that's found, or new something that's been discovered about the kingdom fungi. And I think there still is so much to be discovered. And this is one of the things we were talking about on Friday with Adam Harriton. I don't know if anybody caught that video, but he was kind of saying the same thing. I mean, mushrooms kind of hold a lot of secrets that are still baffling ecologists, mycologists, and now medical, you know, professionals and people who are interested in health. There's a whole other angle to it on that side of things as well. So I just think it's such a fascinating subject, and it keeps me interested.
You should see our camera roll from the last 10 years. It's like just mushrooms from all these different hikes we've done. And
Oh,
he can look
yeah.
at the mushroom and be like, that was from that hike, even though it's just a picture of the ground.
I always see like I love seeing all the different kinds of mushrooms that you guys post, because to the common folk, you just think like baby bell mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, like just like the standard grocery store mushrooms. Because when my friends ask me about it, they're like, you put what in your coffee? What do you put in your, like, I'm so confused. Why would you put a portobello mushroom in your coffee? And I'm like, no. So it's cool. like I think it's so cool that you guys kind of publicize the wide variety of mushrooms that do exist, so that way people can kind of understand that it's not just like what you eat with your salad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. And like unbelievably, I mean, that's a primarily, as far as I've known, kind of like a North American perspective. So, all around the world, these mushrooms have been known to be medicinally viable and are a regular part of everybody's lives. In a lot of other cultures, whereas here in North America, it's starting to become a lot more popular for sure, but still a lot of people have that perspective of, mushrooms are something that are low nutritional value, grow in the dark on manure, which is true for button mushrooms, although the nutrition part, they are higher in nutrition, but there's so much more to this world of medicinal mushrooms and the health benefits that people are just starting to discover.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. And piggybacking off of the medicinal side of it, can you tell me a little bit about some of the reasons why people might want to seek out mushrooms and what strains might pertain to certain needs of different people? Because I know your audience is kind of you have a wide target audience with different strains of mushrooms, different, titles of them. So how can they help different kinds of people for what medical reasons?
Yeah, so they're all great at boosting or modulating your immune system. But then if you want to get into specific areas like athletes, people looking to boost their VO2 max, take their performance to the next level, cordyceps mushrooms are really good. They're phenomenal. They help your body utilize oxygen, so you have more endurance, more stamina. The lion's mane mushroom stimulates nerve growth factors, so people with memory issues or Alzheimer's or any,
I will say.
yes, I
That is
know.
my favorite.
And it tastes good too. If you ever have a chance to eat it, like cook it fresh and eat it, oh my gosh, so good. So good.
Really? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so they're used, kind of universal. You can cook them, which is what people, because a lot of like the times when I'm talking to my friends about these extracts, they're like, so are they only used for extracts? So you can cook lion's mane, I guess.
Yeah, you can cook lion's mane. The reishi, the chaga, the turkey tail, they're all very hard. You wouldn't want to eat them. They wouldn't be edible.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, some mushrooms are both gourmet and medicinal, like lion's mane, for example, or maitake would be another really good example of that.
Delicious.
But then some mushrooms are just, you wouldn't want to eat them as a gourmet mushroom, and they're only medicinal. So it really depends.
Yeah.
And that's why for something like the cordyceps, it does have a pretty strong flavor, and that's probably even a nice way to put it, being a strong flavor. But that's those medicinal compounds that are, a little bit bitter, and bitter is the main thing for especially for cordyceps.
And reishi.
And reishi as well. And that's the triterpenes and everything in there that are making them, the medicinal compounds are often not the best tasting, but some of them can be both.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to think of the mushrooms kind of each mushroom as a different superhero, because that's just the way I think about it in my mind. Lion's mane, I think it's this mushroom that's really good for your brain and cognition, and that's typically what people will use it for. Whereas something like chaga, people will use it as an antioxidant, but also use it to, relax or kind of wind down. Cordyceps is another one, like Tegan kind of talked about, is typically used by athletes or people to get increased endurance and energy and a bit of a competitive edge that way. But the other interesting thing is when you blend all these mushrooms together, they have synergistic benefits.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which is the Thrive 6 strain, right? Is that where your Thrive 6 is?
Yeah, so Thrive 6 is a mix of those mushrooms, which is this right here. And which one interesting thing about Thrive 6 is that it does have those really strong flavored mushrooms in there, but the actual blend altogether doesn't have that much of a strong taste.
Yeah, they combine really nicely, and it's kind of just a mellow, earthy. That's very nice.
It's so delicious. Like, because I remember that was the first strain that I got from you guys, because I was still like learning about how to use mushrooms and what they would be good for me. And blends so well in coffee, hot chocolate, because it's kind of got that like little mocha taste to it. So
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you guys pretty much have down the flavor of it, I must say. Like, it's not, it doesn't taste like dirt. It's like earthy but nice. So kudos to you guys. You got the flavor down.
Awesome.
Kudos to nature also.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, just pure mushrooms in there.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I guess one more thing I'll say on the medicinal benefits is we're blindsided all the time by learning from different people what they're using these mushrooms for. So, I mean, we're not medical doctors, so we don't go out there and say, this mushroom's good for this specific condition, etc.
Right.
But people will come to us and be like, I have X condition and mushrooms are, helping me in these amazing ways. And so we're surprised all the time to hear what people are using mushrooms for. And I think that's one of those things is they affect everybody differently or they benefit people differently. So
yeah, and it's pretty wide, like Lyme disease, MS, diabetes management. The list is like huge. So,
yeah, for what people are using these mushrooms for.
Right. And it's kind of like a long-term treatment for it, right? Because obviously you can't take the mushrooms and just expect it to kind of cure you, because that's a question that I have gotten from my friends through recommending your products to them. Is they say, well, am I going to feel different right away? Am I going to feel awake? Am I going to feel like my immune system's just like skyrocketing? You know what I mean? But what I have explained to them is kind of like what you guys said. It's a progressional, like preventative maintenance type of thing where you take it so you can just boost your overall health rather than just a quick fix, which is good. You want something that's going to be prolonging your health versus just like blasting your immune system like medicine, like standardized medicine.
Yeah. I find a lot of times too, it's maybe not what they do. For me anyways, it's not what they do like acute benefits, but it's what doesn't happen because they take the mushrooms. So I've talked about this before. Like I used to get sick all the time. Like every 3 months I would be sick. I would get the flu or a cold or whatever.
Right.
And something was out of whack. I don't know what it is. And ever since I started taking mushrooms, like I just don't get sick anymore. And I'm not going to say, take mushrooms and you will never get sick, because I'm just
everyone's different.
Everyone's different, but I'm speaking from personal experience. That's what I've experienced, and I'm sure somebody else might experience something in a different way. So, it's a more longer lasting kind of thing. But that being said, some people do get kind of acute benefits from the mushrooms. So I guess it depends.
It varies.
It varies, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so one thing that I'm particularly interested in, and obviously like tell me as much as you want to tell me about the manufacturing process. I'm really interested to know how you get a solid mass of mushroom, like a lion's mane, and then turn it into this powder that is concentrated, but it doesn't taste too concentrated, I'm really interested in the process of how you guys make this product.
Definitely. So all the mushrooms we use are a hot water extract. So basically, the beneficial compounds of the mushroom are locked inside the fruiting body. So if you take something like the lion's mane mushroom, if you just ate this, your body's going to have a really tough time breaking down the cell walls of the mushroom and getting those beneficial beta-glucans out of there that can actually modulate and help your immune system. So you need to do something to pull that out. So we use a hot water extraction process, and you can basically think of it as making, a giant cup of tea. So you'll take all the mushroom fruiting bodies and you'll boil it down for, under 100 degrees Celsius for a number of hours to pull out all those beneficial compounds. And then you use a spray dryer to spray dry it into a fine powder. So, that's what the extracts are. They have the mushroom fruiting body and the spray dried hot water extract. And that's why we can have the powerful beta glucans in that blend.
So, okay, so you boil it and then you have what did you say, a freeze dry something?
A spray dryer.
A spray dryer. How does that work? What is that? I've never heard of it.
It's basically like a gigantic dryer that takes a powder and like it'll take up a gigantic room and basically sprays it down into a really small powder. So it just uses an aeration process to spray dry the liquid into a powder. So it's a common processing thing. I don't know what else it's used for, but you probably
a
know
lot
better.
of powders and extracts and pretty much anything botanical that's made into an extract will be spray dried down if it's gone through some sort of extraction.
Yeah,
Right.
That's really interesting, because sometimes like a lot of people are like, do they just grind it up? Like that's one thing I've gotten asked a lot. It's like, so it's ground up mushrooms. I'm like, I don't think it is. I think there's a there's obviously a process that goes into it to how to.
And they'll just grind that up. No heat treatment, just dry it, grind it, and package it into powder. So there is some.
Yeah, actually,
variation
this
on
is
the
a really good
market.
time to talk
Yeah.
about mycelium. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can process mushrooms, and you nailed it. I mean, a lot of people don't know the difference, right? Sometimes they'll go and they think they're buying a mushroom extract or a mushroom powder, and a lot of the times it's this. I can actually open this up. I don't know if you can kind of see in there. So that's grain. That's
Yeah,
rye
it's
grain,
like little pellets.
and
This clump is held together by mycelium.
yeah,
So yeah, you can see
Oh,
the mycelium is like a white, but if you go like this,
Okay.
like it's so fine, it will just crumble back down to the grain, right? You still have the mycelium there, but you can see
Right.
how much of that mass is actually grain.
yeah, it's
Wow.
mostly grain, and there's actually no fruiting bodies or no actual mushrooms in it. Where the difference is, if you use a mushroom fruiting body, you would take this grain and you'd put it in another substrate like hardwood sawdust or something else, depending on what the species of mushroom it is, and eventually it will fruit. And
Oh
There,
no!
back.
hello again.
I don't know what happened.
I don't think Instagram lets me go over a certain number of minutes for
Oh.
some odd reason. So I am so
Gotcha.
sorry about that.
It's okay.
You were talking
No
about
problem.
fruiting bodies, and I think, Tony, you were saying think of it like an apple tree. That's where you left off.
Yeah, so Nova's trying to join us here. Yeah, I like to think of it kind of like an apple tree. So if you can think of the apple as the fruit, it's analogous to the fruiting body or the mushroom, whereas the tree, you can think of it as, the mycelium or the roots of the plant. So that's kind of the difference between, say, the mycelium on grain and the fruiting body.
Yeah, apple tree.
Gotcha.
You might not necessarily eat an apple tree, but
Yeah.
you probably eat the apple. So
That's so cool that, like, yeah, there's like a whole process that's going into it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love learning about it. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
My next thing that I have been thinking about is what strains are most rare in where you guys are, or in the United States. Like, are there any strains that you find are harder to harvest or find?
for foraging, we live in a terrible area. We live in the
Oh.
worst area possible.
Really?
We wish we lived in the States, like Pennsylvania area or even West Coast.
Yeah.
Oh man, it would be a dream. But now you can take it.
Well, I'll just say some of the more rare ones are, I mean, cordyceps is a really good example. So cordyceps is actually what most people think of when they think of cordyceps is that thing that they've seen on the BBC documentary. So it's this crazy mushroom that infects the brains of bugs, and they climb up on these things, and then they die because the mushroom's controlling their brain, and a fruiting body comes through their head, or they bury themselves in the ground. So Cordyceps sinensis, which is what most people think of as cordyceps mushroom, actually grows on caterpillars, but it's extremely rare.
Whoa.
It only grows in the mountains of Tibet, and because of that, it's incredibly expensive. And when I say incredibly expensive, it's like something like, I don't want to make up numbers off the top of my head, but I mean, it's thousands of dollars.
Per kilogram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily, there's another strain of cordyceps called Cordyceps militaris that you can grow, and you don't have to grow it on insects. So it's actually cultivated on rice, but it's actually fruited, but it's cultivated on rice. So since you can cultivate it, it's not rare at all. Now there's other mushrooms like chaga, which you cannot cultivate because it grows in a weird symbiosis with birch trees, so it actually needs to be wild harvested. Luckily, chaga is not rare at all. It grows all over the place and abundantly, and it's actually a parasite to birch trees. So there's, I guess, yeah, depending on the mushroom, it grows in different parts of the world. Sometimes it can be cultivated, sometimes it can't be cultivated. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that go into that, for sure.
Wow. That I never on a caterpillar. That's like imprinted in my brain now. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to look at a mushroom the same.
Now you have to go look at the video after this.
Yeah, if you look at YouTube, there's
BBC, the documentary.
especially the new one. Yeah, the new one. It's because I think in the new one they show ants and they get infected by cordyceps, and it's not Cordyceps sinensis. It's a different version of cordyceps. But yeah, it infects them and it kind of takes over their brains like zombies, and they basically yeah, fill the will of the cordyceps mushroom. They go to a suitable place and they die, and the mushroom fruits out of their head so it can sporulate and produce it. It's crazy. Luckily, that
It is
doesn't
crazy.
affect humans. So
What
Yeah.
makes it toxic to the caterpillar that doesn't make it toxic to humans? Like I know you said it targets their brain, but do you know like
Mhm.
the specifics of why it would become infectious to them?
I don't know. Then that's a really interesting thing. But
Yeah, it's
all I
crazy.
can say is, man, I'm glad it doesn't affect
It
you.
doesn't pass
Right.
over to humans. That's
Because if
awesome.
there's ever going to be a zombie apocalypse, that's what's going to cause it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So funny. What are your guys' favorite strains at the moment? I'm sure you love obviously all of them because you guys are such fanatics of this product, but like what do you guys use in your daily routines?
Okay.
See?
I use Thrive 6 almost every day, but I also use Lion's Mane. So I don't just do one serving per day, which we say is 1 gram. That'd be like a maintenance dose. But if you want more of a therapeutic dose or you're looking for a very specific benefit, you can definitely use a higher dose. So yeah, I will combine Thrive 6 and then I'll take Lion's Mane later on in the day too. So, but yeah, it really depends. Sometimes I do turkey tail at night, just is in like a golden milk latte, and it just depends. But yeah, Thrive 6 and Lion's Mane would be my two favorite at the moment.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. I love both Thrive 6 and Lion's Mane. I keep we have Thrive 6 in capsules now, and I keep that beside my desk. And anytime I'm ever feeling like I'm getting run down or something, I'll just grab 2 grams or so or 4 capsules of
Yeah.
the Thrive 6 and knock it back. But I do like to add it to my coffee as well, or put it in smoothies or whatever. But those are probably the two that I use the most, is Thrive 6 and Lion's Mane, because I like the brain benefits of the Lion's Mane and just the immune benefits of the Thrive 6. that help me the most.
Absolutely.
Our
Yeah.
dog also loves the Thrive 6 capsules. He just
Oh,
eats
yeah.
them up like
Your dog takes
candy.
them?
Oh yeah,
Tell
mushrooms
me
are so
more
good
about
for
that.
dogs.
Tell me more
Mushrooms
about
are
that.
so
So
good for dogs.
humans can digest them properly just as animals can? Or are there any animals that shouldn't?
As far as I know, there's no contraindications for any animals. Not that I know of, because I know they have mushrooms for supplements for horses, for cats, for dogs. I know I've seen all of those.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and a lot of people will use turkey tail with their pets for cancer purposes. But yeah, all of them for immune boosting benefits are really good for dogs.
That's awesome. I guess I never really thought of that because actually a story that I was just reading at my work is that allergies in pets right now are like skyrocketing. Like obviously it's allergy season for humans, but we don't think that pets can get allergies. Like we'll just see them coughing. We're like, "Oh, they're sick. I got to bring them to the vet." But they really are just having an allergic reaction to the pollen or whatever's in the floating around in the sky. So that's actually really insightful information that you can give this stuff to your pets and it's safe.
Yeah, yeah, and our one dog will just take the capsules like candy and he gums them and then eventually pops it and the powder goes everywhere and he licks it up. And then our other dog, she's super picky, so you have to sprinkle it over her food so she'll eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she won't eat the capsule, she'll just spit it out. So,
Oh man, that is so funny.
But they are susceptible to allergies. I never even thought about that.
mhm,
But yeah, that would be
yeah.
yeah. And our one dog has a pretty damaged immune system because she got really sick when she was really young and ended up going on a big treatment of antibiotics. So we give her the mushrooms to kind of help build her immune system back up. And
Yeah, she's doing good now. So.
she sure is. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was something that kind of surprised us as we were growing. A lot of people were buying the mushrooms specifically for their pets. And we thought, well, that's interesting. So yeah, the more I looked into it, I guess a lot of people do use turkey tail for their dogs specifically. Cats less so, but you do hear the odd time for cats, but more so for dogs.
More so for dogs.
Right, especially for households that are kind of trying to make the switch from the basic household cleaners or I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are trying to make their homes more green or more clean,
Yeah.
whether it's with cleaning supplies, kitchen supplies, dog treatments, anything. Like I've just seen so much of that. So that's cool that your product is covering a wider interest. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's
Okay.
awesome. So are you, I know you said you told me where you're based out of, but in terms of where you manufacture your powders, do you have several facilities that are spread out, or are you solely in where you guys are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't manufacture it here. So our original plan was to grow as many mushrooms as we could. Like I said, we started as a gourmet mushroom farm. As we were scaling and building the company and wanting to provide the highest quality medicinal mushrooms, we realized that it's pretty much it would have been pretty much impossible to scale as quickly by ourselves. So we actually teamed up with a bunch of organic farmers to help us grow these mushrooms, and they do the extracts as well. So it is done all over the place.
And then because we sell in the United States, we have 2 packaging facilities in the United States, and they blend package. They do all the testing before and after it's packaged. And then
Okay.
pick it up from there. So from here, we're pretty hands-on. We
Yeah.
do some small-scale growing still, just for research and for content for the website. But yeah, in order to supply all of our products, we just didn't have the capability at the time. So we had to find someone with the best extracts available. So
Right, exactly.
yeah.
And you guys are available on a couple of different platforms. Like obviously you have Fresh Cap Mushrooms website, but you're available on Amazon. Can people find you anywhere else?
We have a few retail locations, just
Okay.
kind of small stores. So I guess it'd be like we're not in anything big like Whole Foods, so I could just say Whole Foods, go find us. No, not yet. Maybe
Whole
one
Foods,
day.
if Whole Foods is watching it,
I
let me know.
don't think so. But so yeah, just a few small mom and pop shops here and there. So I mean, if anyone's watching and they want to know if we have something in their area, you can always email us, so we can tell you if we have anything in your area.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, right now it's pretty small, just about a dozen or so.
Yeah. Are you guys in the process of expanding? Do you have plans to expand? Obviously, it's probably a long-term type of mission, but do you guys have that in your radar?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, right now we're a little bit focused just on the online stuff, just because there's still so much room to grow there, and it's it's honestly it's a lot easier to sell online because you don't have to deal with all the retail stuff. So the retail stuff is coming. It's coming slowly, but we're building it up bit by bit, and so yeah, I'm not sure when we'll
Stay tuned.
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, this is so cool. I'm so glad I got to finally talk to you guys. You guys are fantastic. I love all of the extracts. Like I think I have Reishi, Chaga, Lion's Mane, and the Thrive 6 left still, even from when you guys sent me that like a while ago.
Yeah,
I've been
awesome.
trying to preserve it every single day. So thank you so much for talking to me. This was so informative. And for everyone watching, I hope that y'all learned something about mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks so much for having us on. It's always fun to talk mushrooms and talk health. So we love all the stuff you've been doing with the mushrooms. So that's really cool to see as well.
And all your food pictures are so inspiring. They
Oh,
look so delicious.
Totally.
Just
Thank
ship all
you.
those my way, please.
oh, yeah. I know. I'm trying to keep them coming. It's so hard sometimes when you get caught up in like the busy life. You're like, crud, I didn't post on Instagram for like a whole entire month. What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm trying my best, and always sometimes my meals aren't healthy, so I don't want to post them. But
You're doing a great job. So.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And same to you guys. I mean, I think the world of your company. So thank you
Awesome.
very much for talking. This was such a treat, and I'll be in touch with you guys. Best of luck.
Perfect.
Very
All
cool.
right. Thank you
thanks
so
again.
much.
Have a good day, guys.
Right.
See you
You
later.
too. Okay. Bye.
Bye.